So in the last lecture we discussed about the local complications of LA. Today we'll be discussing the systemic complications. So coming on to the systemic complications of LA. Now all the drugs, they produce multiple effects. Now these effects can be desirable or undesirable. There are three principles. First is no drug ever exerts a single action. No clinically useful drug is entirely devoid of toxicity. And the third principle is the potential toxicity of a drug resets in the hands of the user. Now the complications the complications which occur, they are because of the absorption of the anesthetic solution in the body. Now these are adverse drug reactions. Basically the systemic complications are categorized into adverse drug reactions, and in adverse drug reactions we have toxicity, overdose reaction, allergic reactions, and idiosyncrasy. Now what is the difference between overdose and allergy? Overdose is, it's as the name suggests, it is dose related, but allergy is never dose related. Systemic distribution is there in overdose, and in allergy it may be systemic or localized. Extension of pharmacological effects, allergy is never related to the pharmacological effects. This selective CNS or CVS depression is there in overdose, and allergy is the exaggerated immune system response. So coming on to toxicity, the first adverse drug reaction. Symptoms manifest as a result of overdose or excessive administration of the drug. The causes are inadvertent IV injection, usually coupled with too rapid deposition of the solution, too large volume, rapid absorption into the bloodstream, slow elimination of the drug, unusually slow biotransformation. Now this is a diagrammatic representation of the lidocaine toxicity. The lidocaine toxicity, you can remember it by the mnemonic SAMS. S is for the slurred or difficult speech, A is for the altered nervous system, M is for the muscle twitching, and S is for the seizures. So you can remember this mnemonic as well as the diagrammatic representation. Now the symptoms can be cerebral cortical stimulation as well as cerebral cortical depression. So in cerebral cortical stimulation we have talkativeness, restlessness, apprehension, excitement, and in cerebral cortical depression we see increased blood pressure, increased pulse rate, increased respiration, possible nausea and vomiting. The management of LA overdose is based on the severity. Now it can be a mild overdose reaction that usually develops 5 to 10 minutes after the completion of the anesthetic injection. Now in mild overdose we have slow onset, that is greater than 15 minutes following 5 minutes following administration. For all the emergencies, we all know we practice the basic emergency management, maintaining the airway, breathing and circulation. So in basic emergency management, first is the position of the patient. Position, if the patient is unconscious, supine with feet elevated slightly, and if the patient is conscious, it is based upon the patient comfort. Then we have the airway. Unconscious, access and maintain airway. Conscious, assess the airway. Breathing, unconscious, assess and ventilate. If conscious, assess the breathing. Circulation, if unconscious, assess and provide external central cardiac compression, and if conscious, assess the circulation. So this is how we perform the airway, breathing and circulation, that is your A, B and C. Airway, head tilt, chin lift. As you can see in the diagram, you have to assess the breathing, okay, the carotid pulse, and if you require, you need to give the external cardiac compressions. Definitive care is reassure the patient, administer oxygen, monitor and record the vital signs, establish an IV infusion, diazepam at the rate of 5 mg per minute, and permit the patient to recover from a for as long as necessary. Now that was slow onset, that is greater than 5 minutes. This is slower onset, that is greater than 15 minutes following administration. Reassure the patient, administer oxygen, check for the vitals, administer anticonvulsant, that is your diazepam, medical assistance. After termination of the reaction, be sure that the patient is examined by the physician. Okay, so you need not leave the patient alone in the dental office. Determine the cause of the reaction before proceeding with the therapy. Now we have the mild overdose and we have the severe overdose. In severe overdose reaction, we have the rapid onset, that is within 1 minute. Signs and symptoms are unconsciousness with or without the convulsions. So remove the syringe from the mouth. If convulsions are present, protect the patient's arms, legs and head. Immediate medical assistance, basic life support. You have to again administer the anticonvulsant. Additional management such as vasopressor IM is indicated if the patient is hypotensive or hypertension persists. Allow the patient to rest until recovery is sufficient to permit discharge. Now post-seizural, that is post-ictal phase. So we have the mild onset, then severe, and then the post-seizure or post-ictal phase. CNS depression intensity equals that of excitation phase. Signs and symptoms is drowsiness or unconscious, breathing is shallow or absent, BP and heart rate may be depressed or absent. Vasopressor, you give phenylephrine or methoxam intramuscular if hypertension persists for greater than 30 minutes. Allow the patient to rest until the recovery is sufficient to discharge the patient. Now, that was for the toxicity, that is your overdose. You have now the second is your vasopressor overdose. Signs: sharp increase in BP, mostly systolic, elevated heart rate, possible dysrhythmias. Symptoms: fear, anxiety, restlessness, headache, tremor, precipitation, perspiration, weakness, dizziness, pallor, palpitations. Then management: terminate the procedure, remove the source of epinephrine, position conscious patient comfortably. Because he is conscious, you can make the patient sit. Supine position not recommended because it accentuates the CBS system. So it should be a semi-sitting, or the erect posture minimizes the further elevation in the cerebral blood pressure. Oxygen may be administered. Observe the vital signs. Pathophysiology: local anesthetic cross the blood-brain barrier, producing the CNS depression as the level rises. So at these particular blood levels, the action which is produced less than 0.5 microgram per ml, no adverse effects. If it is 0.5 to 4 microgram, use anticonvulsant, and 4.5 to 7.5 agitations and irritability. And if the levels are above 7.5 microgram per ml, it will lead to tonic-clonic seizures. So that was your CNS. Now you have the cardiovascular, that is your CVS adverse effects on CVS. So the blood level, if it is 1.8 to 5 microgram, it leads to tachycardia. 5 to 10, cardiac depression, and greater than 10 is severe depression, bradycardia and vasodilatation, and finally it might lead to arrest. So this was all with the toxicity. Now we come to allergy. As we all know, allergy is a hypersensitive state acquired through exposure to particular allergen, re-exposure to which will produce a heightened capacity to react. We all know the hypersensitivity reactions. So this is basically like anaphylaxis, that is your type 1 hypersensitivity reactions. In LA, the hypersensitivity is ester type of LA, usually to PABA products. Sodium metabisulfite, which is used as a reducing agent, also causes allergy. Methyl paraben, which is a preservative, though it is not used in the single use vials, it is basically in your the ones which you use for many times, multiple usage vials, it is present in that. Rare with amide type of LA. So the basic or the major allergic reactions we find with the ester type of LA. Now we have the dermatological manifestations. Urticaria is associated with wheals, intense itching, angioedema, localized swelling in response to an allergen, minor rashes. Respiratory reactions, we have bronchospasm, respiratory distress, dyspnea, wheezing, flushing, cyanosis, perspiration, increased anxiety, use of accessory muscles of the diaphragm, and laryngeal edema. Generalized anaphylaxis, we have skin reactions, smooth muscle spasm of the GIT. There is muscle spasm, bronchospasm, all the muscles, GI muscles, urinary tract muscles, they come into spasm. Respiratory distress and cardiovascular collapse. Now, delayed skin reactions, which is greater than or equal to 60 minutes. For that, you give oral histamine blocker, that is 50 mg of diphenhydramine, 6 hours for 3 to 4 days, or 10 mg chlorpheniramine. Observation 1 hour before the discharge. Medical consultation to determine the cause of reaction. Patient should not be permitted to leave the dental office unescorted if the patient is still drowsy. Now, immediate skin reaction, you give IM histamine blocker, 50 mg diphenhydramine or 10 mg chlorpheniramine. Observation, medical consultation, monitor the patient, and then you prescribe oral histamine blockers for 3 days. Coming on to the respiratory reaction management, for example, like bronchospasm or laryngospasm, something like that. For bronchospasm, administer oxygen 5 to 6 liters. Administer epinephrine 0.3 milligram IM or subcutaneous, or appropriate bronchodilator via aerosol inhaler. Dose may repeated even 10 to 15 minutes if needed. Use IM histamine blocker 50 milligram diphenhydramine or 10 milligram chlorpheniramine. That is same for all kind of allergic reactions. Observation, medical consultation, and again you have to prescribe oral antihistaminics for 3 days. Laryngeal spasm, administer epinephrine 0.3 milligram IM or subcutaneous. For this you have to activate your emergency medical system. Maintain the airway, histamine blocker with the same dosage. Corticosteroids has to be accompanied IV or IM, 100 milligram hydrocortisone sodium succinate, and that will decrease the edema and the capillary dilatation. Perform cricothyroidectomy if preceding steps have failed. If you are not able to maintain the airway, you need to proceed with the surgical management, that is cricothyroidectomy. The third is your idiosyncrasy. Any reaction to the local anesthetic or drug that cannot be classified, whether it is toxic or allergic, all those reactions comes under the category of idiosyncrasy. So the patient's airway must be maintained and adequate oxygen is assured. Evaluate the circulation and support if by positional changes, drugs or parenteral fluids. The last one, that is your syncope, very important, mostly encountered in our dental practice, so we need to know the management. This is a sudden transient loss of consciousness, usually secondary to cerebral ischemia. The cerebral ischemia is secondary to vasodilation or increase in the peripheral vascular blood with the corresponding drop in the blood pressure. Now, syncope is also called by following names: vasopressor syncope, vasovasal syncope, atrial bradycardia, neurogenic syncope, and it can be a simple faint. Predisposing factors can be psychogenic factors and non-psychogenic factors. In psychogenic, we have the fright and the anxiety, emotional distress, pain of sudden and unexpected nature. In non-psychogenic factors, we have sitting in upright position or standing for prolonged period, hunger or starvation, exhaustion, poor physical condition, injection of LA into the artery. According to Engel, the pathophysiology is first is that is either there is inadequate delivery of blood or oxygen to the brain, so that will lead to decrease in the cerebral metabolism. The second is journal or local anesthetic metabolic deficiencies will lead to decreased cerebral metabolism. Third is direct reflex effects on that part of CNS that regulates consciousness and equilibrium. The fourth is psychic mechanism affecting the levels of consciousness with their respective mechanism of action. Now, as we all know, there are 3 phases of syncope, that is the pre-syncopal phase, the syncope, and the post-syncope. So the clinical manifestations according to the phases. In the pre-syncope, that is the early stage and the late stage. In early stage, you find patients developing syncope usually have several minutes of warning before the loss of consciousness. That includes feeling of warmth, pale skin, heavy perspiration, restlessness, nausea, tachycardia. In the later Late stage, you have pupillary dilatation, hyperapnea, coldness in hands and feet, bradycardia, hypertension, dizziness, and loss of consciousness. In syncope, we have irregular breathing, dilatation of pupils, convulsions, bradycardia, weakness, thready pulse, and loss of consciousness. And in post syncope, we have the pallor, nausea, weakness, sweating, which may last for few minutes to few hours, to many hours. Now, the management of pre-syncope, stop the surgical procedure. For any kind of medical emergency, you first need to stop the procedure, you need to calm, you need to check the airway, breathing, and circulation. So that is the common management for all the medical emergencies. So stop the surgical procedure, placement of patient in a head low and supine with legs slightly elevated, inhalation of aromatic spirit of ammonia, administration of oxygen with full face mask. If patient is conscious, he should be instructed to take deep breaths, monitor heart rate and blood pressure, determination of the cause of the syncope, administer glucose powder in the glass of water. Then you have to reassure the patient, re-evaluate the patient. The surgical procedure may be carried out if the doctor and the patient feel comfortable. For the syncope, assess the level of consciousness, call for the medical assistance, position the patient in head low or supine position with legs slightly elevated, administer basic life support, that is, assess the breathing, airway circulation, and administer oxygen, monitor vitals, and provide definitive treatment. For the post syncope, the patient should not be subjected to additional dental procedures for the rest of the day. The doctor should determine the precipitating factors, and these should be considered for the treatment planning. Moreover, this should be recorded. Arrangements should be made to escort the patient home. Now, this is methemoglobinemia, another systemic effect of local anesthesia, when excessive hemoglobin in the blood is converted to another chemical that cannot deliver oxygen to the tissues, that is methemoglobin. Methemoglobin cannot deliver oxygen to the tissues as your hemoglobin. In this, basically, the hemoglobin is oxidized to methemoglobin and its structure changes. So when its structure changes, it will no longer be able to bind oxygen. Infants, they have a higher risk of acquiring methemoglobinemia because the hemoglobin is prone to be oxidized to methemoglobin in infants. Acquired hemoglobinemia is caused by an external source, usually a drug or a medication. Some of these medications include benzocaine, lidocaine, and prilocaine. Symptoms, you see weakness, headache, confusion, chest pain, cyanosis is seen because there is no proper oxygen administration, so you see cyanosis. Blood that is dark or chocolate in color, that will not change to red in presence of oxygen. So the management is 1% methylene blue, 1.5 milligram per kg IV for 4 hours, or an ascorbic acid 100 to 200 milligram per day IV or IM. Now the last one, that is your malignant hyperthermia. It is a serious life-threatening condition which is characterized by hypermetabolic response to potent inhalation agents and succinylcholine, resulting in it will lead to increased carbon dioxide production, increased heat production, depletion of ATP stores, oxygen consumption, fever, tachycardia, tachypnea, acidosis, hyperkalemia, myoglobin and that is creatine kinase levels, they increase, cyanosis, and in severe cases it causes death. Treatment is injection dantrolene 2 to 3 milligram per kg IV bolus, and repeat the dose 5 to 10 minutes to maximum dose up to 10 milligram per kg. Now, prevention of systemic symptoms or systemic complications. Prior to treatment, complete review of the medical status, including the vital signs of the patient. That is why it is said that the medical history plays a very important role. Anxiety or fear should be assessed and managed before administering anesthetic drugs. For the administration of anesthetic, place patient in supine or semi-supine, dry site, apply topical for 1 minute, select appropriate drug for treatment, vasoconstrictor unless contraindicated, weakest anesthetic in the minimum volume, inject slowly, that is 1.8 ml per minute as we have discussed earlier, continuously observe the patient, never leave the patient alone after injecting. Aspiration should be done, and aspiration that too in 2 planes so that you avoid pseudo aspiration, and use sharp disposable needles of adequate diameter and length. Coming on to conclusion, local anesthesia remains the foundation of pain control in dentistry, especially when combined with moderate sleep sedation for invasive and painful procedures in contemporary oral and maxillofacial surgery model. Minimizing the adverse outcomes is the goal of all practitioners. This goal can be accomplished by using appropriate local anesthetics in certain situations, calculating dosage to prevent the toxicity, and aspirating while giving local anesthesia to prevent local and systemic complications. These techniques are improved for any dentist. These techniques are important for any dentist to minimize adverse outcomes when administering local anesthetics.